Yo, what's up, everybody? I am Marks McDuffie. I'm the owner of Aion Training and the host of the Live, Love, Live podcast. And I'm honored today to be joined for the first time by my head coach and co host today, Sean Clifford. What's up, Sean?
Hey everybody, how you doing? Good to see you over the interweb.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to kind of have you on here for today, and I think it'll, like we talk to so many of the members in a different way at times. So just bringing both those perspectives, as well as
Yeah,
the now at this point like 20 plus years that we've had in this industry, and kind of
yeah,
start to share that with some of the peeps. So
yeah,
yeah, today the thing that kind of inspired our talk was last week I was talking to a newer client, and this lady comes in, and she hasn't worked out in years.
yeah.
Like she's uncomfortable with the way that she feels, the way that she looks. And so we get through all the parts about, the workout and her starting up. And she
Right.
starts to get real nervous. She's like, "Oh, how much should I eat? And like, do I get calories?" And I see her get really tense. And the thing I told her was, "Hey, like at the beginning, I just need you to start working out. Like
Yeah,
we'll cover the rest later. But I just need you to start working out because if I give you too much right now, it's just going to overwhelm you." So I
yeah,
think what I wanted to do on today is just kind of dive into one, how like counting the actual calories, it's helpful, but it may not be the best thing, especially for the people we work with. And
right.
then kind of get into, hey, what are some of the things that we can do that'll be as helpful for our listeners
Yeah,
that aren't counting calories, right? So
right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think it's a great topic. I definitely have personal experience, not only working with the amazing clients that we work with, but also in myself. I mean, I had my own pretty big weight loss journey. I went from about 315 at my heaviest 320 to about weighed in about 202 the other day. That's obviously before I have some good holiday meals and stuff like that. But I think that, pardon the dad joke, but I think that the way that I really approach it is just making it digestible. In the way that life is always going to want to throw you off course, and kind of how you prepare for that and prepare for success in those chaotic moments are really the not make or break, but the difference between keeping the momentum that you've created and kind of getting to that life that you want to, and kind of sliding back into the bad habits that you have been in. Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing that I personally used for myself, and also that I've encouraged clients to use, and they've seen success with, is um, finding things that you're comfortable with. I think that oftentimes, like new diets, new eating plans, it can be so much new. Like you said, if you're pairing that with working out for the first time in a while too, it's just too much. It's not a recipe, again, dad joke, for success. You know what I mean? So for me, what I found was find the things that I'm doing well already, and then just
doubling down.
accentuate those, or make them bigger. So like when I first started my weight loss journey, one of the things that I was good on was getting protein in, right? So I was like, okay, instead of going out and buying 5 pounds of celery and juicing for 2 weeks and not knowing what to do, I'm going to take the thing that I'm already good at and then just tweak it a little bit to be in service to my goal. So for me, like I had a good time in ingesting protein. I like, and so it was like, okay, so I'm eating ribeyes right now. Maybe if instead I just go to a sirloin instead, I don't have to do that much mental energy, and I'm already closer to my goal because I've already cut down some of the fat, some of the proportions, right? It's a leaner cut of meat. And I think simple, that's just one strategy. Again, kind of an example of ways that you can take things you're already doing and then just align them to the goal that you want to kind of pivot to slowly and sustainably.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think like that whole idea too of because that really encapsulates this whole thing of don't, start with taking away, start with
Yeah.
adding more, right? Like even when we
Yes.
did, all the nutrition coaching programs, like the
Right.
first lesson was protein at every meal, right? And
Yeah.
that's because it gets people in that idea of like, hey, I need to actually add more, right,
Right.
to what I'm doing, add more to what I'm eating, and that's
Yeah.
going to drive me in the same direction. And I think, that right there is kind of the same thing of, hey, like, what am I doing right now that's really, really great or that I'm proud of? And how do I like, leverage that to get even more out of it before I then
Totally.
look at the things I need to change or adjust or get rid of? I think
Right.
that's a great starting point because it really puts it in the place of every person right now is actually probably doing something well, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
you just have to find that and maximize that, right?
And I think it's so easy, especially in the industry that we work in. It's so easy for, and there's different reasons to this, and we won't get into that. Maybe another podcast. It's so easy for people to say everything you're doing is wrong. You need to throw it all away and do everything the way that I say to do it. And I think that first and foremost, like being dogmatic in your fitness journey is just never going to serve you. Like there's no one way to do things. It's not this or that. It's usually a blend of both. And you're doing good things right now, right? You're a living, breathing human who's balancing family, career, all this other stuff. Like there's so many amazing positives to be proud of. And like I said, I guarantee you, we can find one, two, and probably way more than that, if I'm being honest, of things that you're doing the right way. And to that point, like when things get crazy, is it going to be easier for you to do the things that you're doing or to start something brand new? Because again, we're creatures of habit. Fitness and weight loss, at the end of the day, it's all habitual, and if you can take the habits that you're doing already and not relearn a bunch of other new ones, again, it just makes the barrier to entry so much easier and you don't have to beat
Yeah.
yourself up, you know? Yeah.
No, I think that's a good point because I think there definitely is a lot of like with people trying to stand out in the industry or people like people trying to make money, they
Right.
sometimes make it seem like, oh, like doing keto is the only way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then people get into this, like they'll be like let's say the person is a square and the person that's giving them information is a circle. And it's like,
Right.
hey, like you keep trying to run into this circle and you keep
Right.
failing and then you go, oh well, like I'm just not disciplined enough, I can't do this, or I'm not. And it's like, no, like you set yourself up from failure from the start. And I've even had clients frustrated because they'll come to me, they're like, can you
100%.
just tell me exactly what to eat? And I'm like, very general overview habits.
Yeah.
Like, well, how much should I eat of this and this? And, like, so what should I do? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't tell you that because, like, it's going to be so different from person to person
Totally.
that, like,
Yeah.
what the advice that I gave for someone on very, like, specifics may set you up for complete failure or may not be foods you enjoy. And then, that may leave you feeling in a state of, not feeling proud or feeling like you can make progress because you couldn't get down into my minutia that I gave you, and I
Right.
think,
My box.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's
And
a good point.
yeah, and I think it brings up a great point that we talk about, which is this idea that has become kind of very big in the industry and in popular culture, which is the idea of like counting calories, right? And I think again, counting calories are a tool. They can't be a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like again, it's not sustainable. If you have a 10-hour day of going to pick the kids up from soccer, coming home, making meals, doing all this stuff, like if you have the time to pull out a scale and weigh things to the gram, like that's amazing. Like that's a really high level of commitment. And I don't think again a lot of people are in the position to be successful in that place, right?
Yeah,
And I think that again with counting calories, it's a means to an end, right? It's not the end all be all. Do I think understanding portion sizes are important in re-educating how you see food? Of course, right? But again, like the idea behind dieting is that you want to be able to enjoy food and enjoy life, right? And take everything in moderation,
yeah,
and getting yourself back to a place where you feel comfortable, confident, and aware of what moderation looks like is the reason why a lot of people count calories. But that point is usually left out. Because if you're going to somebody like you said for a weekly breakdown of what macros, you're on the hook, you're on the cycle, and you don't ever get to develop the beautiful independence that comes with understanding your unique body, your unique physiology, and how you can kind of create your own path with food, you know?
yeah. And I think if we really look at, like what do people want or like what's the goal of,
Yeah.
counting calories, right? Like I think it all comes down to, like one, like developing and I'll step back and say this. Some of these things I'm about to say, I think are the most important thing for someone who is looking for, like weight loss, body recomposition, fat loss, even adding muscle, right? And they are being conscious of what I'm putting into my body, right? If I track everything, I'm being conscious of it. I'm prioritizing the right things to put in my body. So I can't just, let my fat go to 700 grams and my protein's at 5 grams. So
Right.
I'm trying to prioritize the right things. And I think the last one that people are looking for, just to avoid eating above what they need to hit for their goals, right?
Right.
And that's why like calorie counting is what gets put out there because it does those things.
Yeah.
I think the problem is when, yeah, like you said, like we take out that like just because that tool works, it doesn't mean it's the only tool to get those big three, right? Like
Right.
for some people that are listening to this right now, they may like scoff and go like, "Oh, like I actually love counting calories. Like I haven't missed a MyFitnessPal update in 6 years.
Hey, yeah.
I love that, right?
Yeah.
Continue to do that, but I think it
Yeah.
is important for us to also, expose our clients, the people we work with, to the fact that there are other tools. So I guess
Yeah.
talked about this a bit like at the beginning. But yeah, for you, like I know you mentioned like adding on top of what you're already doing, but are there anything else that was a successful tool for you during your journey of weight loss, or even now that you think may be
Yeah.
helpful?
I think for me, the biggest kind of tip or trick that I found was just again getting really really clear and concise about what your goal is, right? Because that'll kind of put your mind in the direction that you need to go. So for instance, I had a goal to lose weight, right? And I know that there's a million things out there, right? I think the biggest thing is, and we talk about this a lot with clients, is like the best program is the one that you do,
Yeah,
and I think that that's where you start, right? It's trying a bunch of things, not being afraid to say, hey, this doesn't work for me, because again, if you just bang your head into the wall over and over and over again, it loses the incentive for you to want to do the thing, right? So if you're on a restrictive diet where you have to eat 500 calories a day, good luck. um, you're not going to like it, you're not going to like yourself, you're not going to like your family, you're not going to like working out, you're not going to like anything. And I think for me, the point that I'm getting to is that I just tried a lot of different things. And then when I found the thing that worked, I stuck to it.
mm,
And that being said, like weight loss, if it is a habit, like we said, that's our initial kind of idea, our thesis is like the sum total of days that you do it is always going to outweigh the days that you don't. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like getting back on track. And if I had 7 days in a week, right, and I ate to the best of my abilities for 5 of those days, and 2 of the days life got crazy, I went off track, I gave myself the grace to just start back up on Monday,
yeah,
you know? So that to me was like the best strategy, is because life does get crazy. And what these macros and micros and everything in between don't take into account is the human element of weight loss and diet, which is stress and emotions and all these other things. So,
yeah,
you know, it's not about doing one thing, it's about creating harmony through all the different parts of what you do: diet, fitness, emotional, family, all that stuff, and just doing the best you can with the circumstances you're given.
exactly. And I think just to touch on that point again, and to really drive that home, is that calorie counting may work for you, and if it does,
Right.
like do it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if it doesn't work for you, don't feel like you know the
Yeah.
problem is you. That you're,
Right.
like there is no hope. So I think with that, what I'm gonna do on this next one is just to touch on that point again of like the best thing is the one that works for you, and to start there, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like touch on those 3 points from earlier of just like, hey, like being conscious, prioritizing, eating the right things, and avoiding overeating. And I'll kind of let you touch on those after if there's anything else that kind of
Yeah.
comes to mind from there. Because I think for the first one, for being conscious, we could start here on it. For me, like I, I think that it's super helpful for a lot of people to just write down either there's two strategies for it that I like a lot. The day before or like the night before, you say, hey, like I'm gonna eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, right? Because then it gives you that time, like you said earlier, to kind of plan, like, hey, what is going on tomorrow? Just
Right.
tomorrow, what is gonna plan? And that way I can also be flexible because if there's a night where I'm going out with a bunch of buddies, I don't
Yeah.
really care what my fitness plan thing says. I might be a
Yeah.
bit above or a bit below that day, right? So being able to like, but I want to be conscious of what's going in my body because that
Yeah.
also is super important for, hey, like I'm having an emotional day right now. Work was really hard. I'm really stressed out. I'm tired. I should just go to sleep. But I'm
Hmm.
going to eat instead. You can say, oh, shoot, okay. Well, that wasn't on my plan, right? The other strategy I like a lot is that exact same thing. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, retrospectively, you just write down what you ate that day because this whole thing of what is going in my body. Like so many
Yeah.
people live this unintentional life because things do get so busy
Yeah.
um, that they just at the end of the day they have no clue what they ate. I've done it myself, right?
Yeah.
So I think having that, for, at least for me, is a strategy that I've seen that helps people with that part of just being conscious and aware of what I'm even eating as a start point there. Are there any other techniques that you've kind of found on?
I
Like,
think that's great. I think that again, it's just about being intentional about like what are you eating, why are you eating it, when are you eating it, right? Those three things really help. So, if it's 1 in the morning and I'm waking up out of bed to go eat Ben and Jerry's, it's like, what am I eating? Why am I eating? When am I eating it? You know what I mean? And again, it's not to like you don't in the moment smack yourself with a ruler and call yourself bad, you know what I mean, or chastise yourself, but it's just again it's understanding why and what you're putting into your body, to your point, right? Because I think the first part of any change is being aware of what you need to change, right? And I think that goes back to the point. Like a lot of people don't even know what they're eating through the day. So how are you expecting them to change it? How are you expecting them to pivot from that? It's kind of a non-starter, right?
yeah.
Um, if I say I want to work out, but I don't know what to do, it's like that's why you come and find a coach that you trust so that they can help coach you. But at the same time, it's you developing the independence to understand your own body's impulses with food and eating.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, because it really does highlight, especially with the demographic we work with.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, they grew up in this very like diet heavy, be small as hell. And
Man.
now like food for a lot of our members is like a scary thing. And there's a lot of like tension and tightness and stress around that. And I think when we tell them to go from, hey, you're not doing anything to, all right, you're going to get 150 grams. Like you've seen it.
Yeah.
People 150 grams or like eat like a pound per your body weight. And then we see the comments, oh my God, I was getting like 30. How am I supposed to get to 150? So I really,
Yeah.
yeah, like that piece of just like start with awareness, just
Yeah.
write down where you're at, and then just kind of say, hey, like where could I make a small change? So
Right.
I think that's good for the first one. I think then going into the second one here, which is prioritizing like putting more of the right, and I put right in quotations because it is all very subjective based off of what your goal is,
Right.
So, but for sake of ease, we'll say prioritizing the right things to put into your body. And for me, an easy one, I got this from Precision Nutrition back in the day, was just, you know, hey, at least for my ladies, at least one fist size of protein. For my dudes, two fist sizes of protein, and then some type of veggie or fruit with every meal. Like
Yeah.
just to keep it that simple. Like if you look at your plate and you go, I got some protein, I got some veggie,
Mhm.
and that's primarily it. For the most part, like a lot of peeps will be fine.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's a great, one of my big mentors and one of the industry people I model my career after is Dan John, and he says he has a great one. He just says eat 5 different color vegetables in a day. It's like so easy, right? Orange, green, yellow, and then it's like, or yeah, or something else, right? So it's like if you eat, 4 or 5 different colors, you're covering most of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be complicated. Of like, well, I need a radish at this time, and I need an artichoke here, and it's just diversifying what you're putting in your body, and then just having variety too, because then you don't get bored and sick of it all. Again, to your point, like early on, I was like, what are the vegetables I love? What are the vegetables I hate? I'm not going to start forcing myself to eat kale if I don't like kale. How is that sustainable? I love Brussels sprouts. Okay, let's make some more Brussels sprouts today. It's that easy, and then it just fits lockstep in what you're doing, and you're not changing everything. You're just pivoting slightly, small little changes, right? Like you're steering a big ship. You're not going to go 30 degrees to the west. You're going to go two. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say too, I think that is helpful because I think for me at this point now with like how much I don't like thinking about things,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I I eat basically the same like 7 meals
Me too.
every single, not 7 meals in one day, but just like
Yeah.
7 meals. And granted, I don't have kids right now, so that's a huge change in there. But yeah, I think especially at the beginning, like having that space to have some variety of
Mhm.
like, hey, like let me try this meal, let me try this, let me try that, right? And
Yeah.
then seeing like what are the staples that fit my lifestyle, my schedule, and my taste,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of get into a nice little ease in that, right? Which is another reason that very direct meal plans can at times like people don't learn how to eat, they learn how to follow.
Right.
That
Right.
can be a bit tough down the road as well.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right, for the last one on there, it's just avoiding overeating, right? So I think it is a very easy thing sometimes to eat over the calories that your body needs for your goal. If your goal right now is to just build muscle and put on some, muscle mass, which a couple of our clients do have that.
Yeah.
Um, this one applies a little less to you, but for our peeps that are in that like body recomposition or like weight loss, fat loss part of things, I think it and I used to, oh man, I used to shit on it. I used to be like, because people would come to me with this thing. They'd be like, oh my God, Marcus, have you heard about intermittent fasting? They,
Yeah.
it's the magic pill. And I'd be like, God, but
Give it 5 years, there'll be a new one. You know what I mean?
oh,
So
there always will be. But I think as I've kind of like come around to it, I think that intermittent fasting can be a very helpful thing for people
totally.
because it takes out like, you don't have to think as much, right? Like, I think what people shouldn't do when they think about intermittent fasting, they shouldn't think that it is anything more special than something that says, hey, I was eating 5 meals because I had one meal at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now I'm eating 4 meals, and that just took off the calories from that last meal. So I think
Yeah.
the way that it should be done for those of you listening is think about what time that you wake up and go to sleep, right?
Hmm.
If you have meetings from 7 a.m. to 12 and you know you're going to be hungry as hell by like 10, don't say, I'm going to eat from 12 to 8.
Yeah.
Smart, right? If you're someone who goes to bed early and you go to bed at 8:30, don't say I'm going to eat from 12 to 8 because that's what the little intermittent fasting website said. No,
Right.
find the time,
Yeah.
8 to 10 hours that really fits well for your schedule, for your like body's rhythms, and then go there. Like for me, if I try to work out without eating, it sucks.
Yeah.
For other people, they hate it. So it's just kind of finding that. And I think oh, I forgot my other point in there, so we'll just skip it. It'll come
Yeah.
back. It's important.
That's great, man. I think that again, it's just being intentional, right? And again, making it fit to your lifestyle. Like you said, intermittent fasting is great, but make sure that it's tailored to your lifestyle, and make sure that it works for you and try it.
Yeah.
If eating at 8 doesn't work, then eating at 9 and bringing it up an hour and at the end, it's not going to change the scientific or the results. It's just going to work better for you and make it sustainable. So yeah, I think these are all great points, and I think taking any of them, all of them, are really easy ways for you to get started today, tomorrow, and just start doing it. Right? There's no substitute for action. There's no substitute for showing up.
Yeah, like and that's a good point on there too, because uh,
Yeah.
sometimes like with giving advice or doing even like a podcast like this, like people hear, oh my God, they just gave me 5 things I could do.
Do one.
Do all 5. Yeah, like maybe not even like if you want to start with Sean's, just like look at what I'm doing right now
Yeah.
and then go from there. Like that is money. That's
It's
perfect.
more than you did yesterday, right? And it's 1% better than what you're going to do tomorrow. So you're in the right zone. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these things, like you can probably attest to this. We've tried them at one point in our lives,
Yeah.
absolutely sucked,
Yeah.
and we kept trying it, and then eventually we're like, hey, like maybe this thing isn't for me right now. And then
Yeah.
years later we bring it back and it's like, oh wow, like this thing is actually really helpful now. So also
They're tools, they're tools and strategies. It's just like you wouldn't use a hammer to screw it, put a screw in a wall. Like there's seasons for this stuff, and the idea is you have all these strategies that you can use, that you're comfortable with, that you understand, and that you're in control of.
Yeah.
So that when life gets crazy, you pull this and put it here. um, and and that's just, again, such a more holistic way to look at weight loss, fitness, and life, right?
Yeah.
There's not one thing that works all the time. There's not one thing that never works. It's like everything works a little. It's just, how are you going to make it work for you?
For you, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a last piece that just came up as you said the word holistic too. I wanna make sure we address that with all these things, like the end goal in mind is more health, a longer and a more enjoyed life, right?
Totally, man.
Because always being in a state of trying to lose weight or fat loss is not a healthy lifestyle. It is not a lifestyle that prolongs your life. It is not a lifestyle that prolongs your enjoyment of everything. So our
Yeah.
goal with all these strategies we've given today is to allow you to say, hey, like if I do need right now to lose weight, right,
Yeah.
for a health reason, I now have tools. But
Right.
for a lot of our members, they get to a state of, hey, like I really probably shouldn't lose any more weight. I probably am good right here. Would it be cool if I did lose like 5 more pounds or these jeans fit better? Yeah, maybe. Right. But also, like, I'm kind of in a state of maintenance right now. And
Yeah.
these tools can also be helpful and adjusted in there. But just remember that the goal always, for us at least at Ion, is health and an improved and better enjoyed life,
Yep.
right? That is the biggest one overall. So,
Yeah.
Sean, any like final comments or tidbits for today?
No, that's really it from me. I think that was great, man. I'm excited to do another one of these and continue to talk about this stuff, and just kind of pull the curtain back and, again, make this digestible to everybody, and make it simple. And would love to hear any comments and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, it was awesome
Yeah.
to have you on. First podcast here with Sean.
Look at that.
For everybody that's listening, if you enjoyed today and you are a current member, please share this with someone else or just say, or just leave us a little comment. Let us know what you'd like us to cover next. And if you're not currently a member at Ion, but you're like, wow, I like what they're talking about over here,
Yeah. Come on in.
bio below that you can click to get your first training session here with us to come check us out. So you can click on that bad boy, and yeah, we hope to see you soon. So,
All
Mark,
right, everybody. See you soon.
cool. All right.